Welcome to Cowgirl Talk, where we empower you to live authentically through real food, real talk, and real life. Sisters brought together by our love of cows. We're your host, Emily, a dairy lover and personal trainer living in Florida.
And Becca, a corporate cowgirl holding down the family fort in Pennsylvania. Let's go, cowgirls!
Hello, and welcome back to Cowgirl Talk. So today's episode is all about building a brand. And kind of like a couple episodes ago where I interviewed Becca about her corporate cowgirl journey, we're going to switch roles today, and Becca's going to interview me about building a brand, and more so a brand that is kind of a mix of a business and personal brand, because this past week, Becca has been a traveling machine, and she was at a conference where she heard from some, as I like to call it, social media gurus, which she'll dive further into all that and explain what it actually was. But so because of that, she had a really great idea about, like social media and building a brand and growing that following. And I thought it would be fun to talk about how we've kind of built a brand and more so diving into my Dairy Girl fitness journey. And so before we give you all the fun details and dive into the nitty gritty of it, of course, we got to start with our highs, lows, buffaloes. It's a little bit of a tongue twister, but I've been having fun with it. So Becca, kick it off for us.
Yeah, so
That was a deep sigh. She's like, fine.
Sorry, guys, we are recording early after so now that Emily has married Ruben, we are Georgia supporters because they win more often than Penn State does.
I have a Georgia shirt
on. And we stayed up late watching that game. And
it was like midnight.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so, we're recording this. It's not that early, 7 a.m., but we still have to wake up in the hours of the 6s. And here's my low. I came to record this and sat down. I was like, maybe I should put on some lip gloss to look better. And Emily said,
I came back and Becca was like, I just need a little something. I was like, oh, yeah, you do.
Emily, I don't know what she said, but the look on her face is like, girl, you fugly. Like, did you...
Becca looked like she legit just woke up. What she did, but... she was using this camera as a mirror. She's like, I just need a little something. And then she's like, I should put a hat on, shouldn't I? And I was like,
maybe a headband.
That's why my headphones, if anyone actually watches this, I have big headphones. And that's kind of like my saving grace in terms of saving the hair and making me feel, quote unquote, put together.
Yeah. So that's my low, is that I'm not good at mornings ever, but especially today.
So it was funny.
My high, I'm going to add a new one there as well, as Penn State won last night, so that's great. Yeah. I tried to find my Penn State hat, but it was dark. So I got a blue P, which is for the Pirates, but we can pretend it's for Penn State. And my blue and my stripes.
It's good enough.
And we are World Dairy Expo ready. That's next week. And so we're excited about that.
Technically this week I guess it's already happening technically. By the time we record this.
Whenever this drops, it will be the day before I leave for Expo. So that's exciting. Yeah. So Emmy and I will get to be out there. I'll be there representing Dairy Girl Network. And I'm so excited. And then I would say my low is probably how I looked this morning. And then
that's not. You were fine. It was just
it's
you could
funny.
just tell because Becca texted me while I was drinking my coffee. She's like, "Oof, rough. Like, do we want to do this?" And I was like, "I'm already drinking my coffee. We have to do this this morning."
So we're here. I was just testing the waters.
Shout out to Becca for grinding it out because she does have an insane schedule. So we do appreciate Becca dedicating any sort of free time.
Poor little me.
It's just funny. You can tell she's like the big sigh.
Sorry, Cowgirl Talk.
Here.
I love you. My low is like Em was saying, I'm in the middle of, I can't remember if it's like 4 or 5 weeks straight with overnight travel. And a lot of it is driving, and which I actually like better than flying because I have more control over the situation, I feel like.
Yep.
And it's shorter travel. But my old lady, my sciatica is really feeling it.
Damn, girl.
So, but I mean, I've been like doing all the stretches, working out. Yep. I'm just like, I think you could be fit as a fiddle, which I pretty much am. And
yes, I am the epitome of it.
I'm the epitome of health. And you could still feel it after you're driving. Like, I mean, to Philly, it was 4 hours. So 4 hours there and back. So, that's a lot of time in the car.
So far away.
It is. Philadelphia is closer to my coworkers who live in Virginia than it is to me.
That's wild.
By like an hour.
Damn. I
I
always
know.
forget how far it is.
Philly is so far away. I don't. That's and anyone who knows Philly is like, isn't it?
Yeah. Might as well be
So
like New Jersey or New York.
I mean, it pretty much is. It's just
Yeah.
we get to keep
We
it.
get to claim it.
Woohoo.
Yay. Woohoo.
And then my buffalo is while in Philadelphia, I had my first ever legit soup dumpling. So I've only ever had frozen ones, like the Trader Joe's frozen ones, because there's nowhere in Altoona to get them. I mean, there's other forms of dumplings or wontons or whatever, but this was called like Tom Sum dumplings or something. Like I was like, okay, legit. And the hotel was in Center City, Philadelphia, which is kind of like their version of New York Times Square.
Yeah.
And so I was in Chinatown apparently, which was like a block long, but still. So I went there, I read my Kindle, and I ate my soup dumplings. And it was awesome.
They looked so good. Yeah,
They
Becca
were
sent
really
us
good.
a Snapchat. And she's like, when in Philly? And I was like, what about the Philly cheesesteak? She's like, I got enough of that. So now it's time for
I mean, we have a plant in Philadelphia, and anytime we have customers or guests, we always get like the good Philly cheesesteaks. So yeah. But that's my week, Emmy. How about you?
Yeah, so good week as well. More chill knowing that the next couple weeks are going to be full of travel with Expo, and then we have a Georgia State Fair. So it's more of a low-key week towards the beginning. So I would say my high was, Penn State winning, woohoo! And then I made this amazing ranch chili cornbread skillet, and it was just so good. I made it last year, and
you did.
Made it again.
Joe and I have made that, and it is so yummy. And we've tested it out with different cornbreads, which we found that like the sweeter corn, like you can get too sweet with the cornbread.
Wrong answer, but
oh, okay. Well,
no, I love like put cake on top of mine.
From the words of the Chef Pef Test Kitchen, go with the mild sweet, not the Dolly Parton sweet.
Oh, there's a Dolly Parton cornbread?
There's Dolly Parton cornbread, yeah.
Okay, I could see where that could be a little sweet. Because I love sweet cornbread, but yeah, Dolly Parton, I can see where it's like, okay, this is like a cupcake on top.
Yeah.
But I did try mine again this time with, instead of an Aldi brand, it was the Jiffy cornbread brand. And I feel like, I don't know, I really enjoyed it this time. Maybe a little bit more. I don't know if I just cooked it different or, just.
It might have been
the cornbread.
It was
the moment. Yeah, so if y'all haven't made that yet, it's delish.
It's so good.
I had it on my Instagram, I think last August or September, and it's on my TikTok again. So 10 out of 10, minimal cleanup, pretty easy peasy. And then I would say for a low, so kind of like a petty low, was how terrible Georgia played last night, even though I'm still wearing my Georgia shirt.
The low was that interception in the end zone. My God.
This game was, Georgia was getting blown out, which should not have happened realistically, but it was terrible. And then the second half, Georgia finally came back, finally got ahead. It was going to be like the biggest comeback in that type of a matchup, I think, in history. But I'm honestly not surprised it ended with Georgia throwing an interception and not being able to win, because that felt fitting for how the rest of the game go. Like, it would have been too good to be true for Georgia to have been able to come back and win.
You know what? It sets Georgia up to come up and beat them in a really big game, because they're going to have the chip on their shoulder. And unless you live in Alabama, it's so easy to dislike Alabama.
I hate Alabama.
And I don't even think I dislike like the football players. I'm sure they're nice people.
Yeah, like Jalen Milroe, their quarterback, he was interviewing, and I was like, to Ruben, and I was like, I know you don't want to hear this, but he seems like a good dude.
Yeah, like...
Sorry.
Screw him, but he seems nice. I think just like Nick Saban, I dislike his personality so much. Like, I can't even find his funny commercials funny, because I'm like, you just seem like a sleazeball.
Oh, no, see, I love him now that he's in his commercials, and he's just like, he is what he is in terms of,
you know what,
so dry. He's so dry.
Respect. I don't know, there's just something about it, and I used to be a Patriots fan, so I really can't even talk smack, but I get why people disliked the Patriots.
Oh, wait, you used to be, and now that the Patriots aren't good anymore.
And I only liked him because I liked Tom Brady and Gronk and Edelman.
I know.
And Danny Amendola. Yeah, like they had hot players. That was literally it.
They had a stacked team in terms of looks and talent. But yeah, no, I feel that. It was if Georgia would have fully got blown out, it would have been a very different season versus they almost came back and won. So
You know
it
what?
sucked,
Maybe
but there
that's
was a
what
much better ending.
I think they needed that. I think that is going to fuel them to win big.
Yeah, like get your shit together, guys.
Yeah, no, I think things work out for a reason.
Yeah, so that's
Go
my petty
dogs.
low.
I was trying to think of how to text that last night, and it was just rough, 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 rough.
Woof, woof, woof. Yeah, like this does. Should have sent a voice memo. Becca just barking into the phone. We would have been like, "This is too much. This is when they say like, this is my 13th reason. You know,
Yeah.
don't bark into the phone, please. Thank you so much." Oh, but that's my petty low, and I would say like a real legit low would have been, of course, Hurricane Helene, and I'm in Florida and I'm in Gainesville, Florida. So I'm more so in the middle of the state. So when hurricanes pass through, we get pretty lucky in terms of, I mean, we're not near the coast. We're not going to deal with surges. It's flat here. So we dealt with heavy winds. There's a lot of trees down. But I don't know. It's crazy how Gainesville in a pocket and then our dairy farm in Georgia in a pocket got so lucky in terms of damage because a lot of the farms just west of us and even the towns surrounding us. And then in Georgia, like the East Coast, so many spots got wrecked. And I mean, just devastating losses. And so we just got extremely lucky in terms of it's just certain bands not hitting us because we weren't in the eye at all. But yeah, it's just crazy to see the damage that's rolling through. And I know, of course, with dairy farms and any farm, that's always really, really hard building up those structures. But then you even see, I mean, North Carolina, Tennessee, I mean, there's legit towns washed out.
Yeah. And this is an area that's rich in agriculture and has such a good climate for growing certain things and raising certain livestock. But man, living in Florida in that area is just, I was thinking about it, is so, I guess brave is the right word. Because it is like, it is an area where you can do so much, but like it's hurricane season, man. And that is just, that scares the crap out of me. It's kind of the same feeling as during wildfire seasons out west of just
California.
Yeah. How do you even mentally prepare for that as a producer? It's like the mental strength you have to farm in general, but especially in areas that are more prone to weather events. Like Pennsylvania is a pretty neutral state. Let's be real.
Yeah, pretty mild.
It's a pretty mild state compared to what you would have to deal with in Florida or out west. But what's nice is that for agriculture specifically, they have such amazing communities around them that as soon as it happens, everyone is there helping. So it sucks it happens, but you go into it hopefully knowing that you have a community surrounding you. And it's such a good feeling to be a part of that community from afar to see how everyone helps each other.
Yeah, because agreed. It's kind of part of, what you sign up for being in the Southeast.
It really is.
But
which is just crazy.
It's just gotten continuously worse. And I mean, with weather, with climate, I mean, there's a huge hurricane every single year now. And now there's even another one out in the water, potentially another one. So it's more sad when you see like Cedar Key. It's a kind of a small beach community. They had said that one bar, they just got it rebuilt from Adalia. And then it just got wrecked again, like collapsed. So yeah, I mean, I think there's FEMA. I think you go on that website and there's a lot of different ways that you can, provide, whether it's money or like if you want to go volunteer. I think there are websites that'll show you how you can help communities because, yeah, I mean, a lot of people's lives are kind of wrecked through that. But
yeah,
that's, something that farmers and everyone kind of has to navigate moving forward. But I would say then my buffalo, this is a little bit of I guess it's a point of it, right? It's random. So I love the Today Show. Becca just looked at it. I love the Today Show. And Hoda Kotb, I think it's how you say her last name. I think she's just a ray of sunshine. And she announced on Thursday that she's leaving the Today Show. And I legit teared up and kind of cried a little.
Yeah.
More so because all of the anchors and the cast were as well. And you get to see their real emotion.
You're about
through
to cry
it.
Now.
No, sorry. Yeah, that was not a choke up from tears. But it was just cool to see. She's like, I'm at the top of the wave right now. Like, this is going so well, but she wants to see what's next. So it was cool to see her kind of take a leap in a different way. And it just made me emotional.
Well, and sometimes like there was recent tennis player that retired at the peak of their game. And it's like, you know what, if you've had a good run and she's not a spring chicken, like,
Yeah, that's
what?
what she said. She said she just recently turned 16 and made her
Why
reevaluate
not?
things.
Why not leave at a positive point in your legacy versus waiting for someone to inevitably like try to cancel her or
Yeah, like Bill
something to go
Belichick
bad?
at the Patriots.
Yeah, it's like, just, I think that there's a lot. I get why they leave when they're at the height and when it's time. Like, this has been a good chapter. Close while people remember me on this high, and then go on to what's next. And poor Hoda, Helene is taking her spot on the low list. I feel like that would have been your low if a hurricane had it rolled through.
That dramatic, not that dramatic. But I thought it was a funny moment. If anyone else watches the Today Show, they can relate. So she said she'll still stay within the NBC family, but not on the Today Show, or not at least in that capacity. Because, yeah, I mean, that is, I'm sure, a ton of your time.
Yeah. Well, Hoda has such a strong brand.
Oh, look at that transition. She does.
Yeah, she really does in the Today Show. I mean, I don't even watch it that much because that's like prime meeting time for work, which actually kind of stinks. I've like tried to have it on in the background, and it's just I don't pay attention to the meetings.
Yeah.
And so, this week I was at a digital marketing summit in Philadelphia. It's my second time going to this event, and I've been fortunate enough in my little corporate cowgirl career to go to quite a few. Corporate world loves conferences and self-development. Yeah. Like, it was just fun on the way driving home. I thought, wow, we really love this stuff. But I was driving home, drinking the Kool-Aid, like pumped up, juiced up, ready to go. And there was this one person in particular that spoke that inspired me to, we had talked about this episode before, but one that really inspired me to do it now. And his name is John Ushai. It's John Y something. And he used to work for Instagram and YouTube, at the very top. And I heard him speak at a different conference years ago whenever he was at that job. And he just has such an interesting perspective on content creation and building a brand as a content creator specifically. And a lot of the things he was talking about that make great content creators, like he used the example of James Corden, a random British guy who came in when there were 4 other late night talk show hosts already. And he's now the number 2 most popular behind Jimmy Fallon.
Wow.
And it's because
he's funny.
Because he's a content creator versus a talk show host. And so, Emmy, I thought of you, you're a content creator instead of just a physical trainer and a nutrition and mental health coach. I was like, ooh, this, this kind of reminds me of things that Emily is doing and how she's built her brand based really around content creation. So I think that before we dive into some of the other questions that I was thinking of while driving home, I was like, oh, I want to hold a strategy session with Emily. Let's record it on the podcast. So I know you've told the story a lot, but just in case there are some noobs here or people who don't remember all the details, give us a quick reminder of your journey to Dairy Girl Fitness, which I will probably refer to as DGF throughout this episode.
Heck yeah. I have told this story some, but it's always one I enjoy telling because it was something that started unexpectedly. And I'm not saying I'm super inspirational, but it was something that started from a lot of closed doors, being told no, and things not quote unquote going my way, right? So growing up, pretty much all of us siblings wise, right? I mean, we spent all of our time playing sports or being involved in dairy youth activities. And so, I mean, from the get-go, had the passion around dairy promotion, and we never got involved in anything like Dairy Princess or such, but even still, something we always really enjoyed. And we really enjoyed moving our bodies and just being active. And we were just very lucky to have a great relationship to just food, to moving our body, because it was just something that was a part of our household in a really normal, healthy way. And then so when I went to Penn State, I studied ag business management with a dairy science specialization. So even then, when I kind of thought of, oh, what would my dream career be, dream job be, I had always thought it would be something around dairy promotion, marketing, connecting people to dairy products and why it's so awesome. I even tried to have an internship with Fair Oaks, which is the farm that had started Fairlife junior summer, but didn't get it because I'm not a pig kid. So it was like pig and dairy. But regardless, I always just thought those type of things were very interesting. And dairy is a smaller industry. So yes, there are marketing jobs and advertising jobs, but like more so specifically within milk promotion, I feel like that's just a little bit more limited. And so after graduation, to make that even a little bit trickier, I moved to Georgia. And so that was 2017 because that's where Ruben is from and that's where his family's dairy is. So moving to Georgia, couldn't really find a full-time job. I worked as a credit analyst at a bank. That sucked my soul. And then and then luckily we moved to Florida and I was like, oh, I have to quit. Darn it. And moved to Florida. Ruben was managing a dairy. And even then, it still took me time to find my footing, to find a job. I was applying to literally anything and everything. I applied to, I think back, it's funny because I hardly even remember some of the jobs. I tried to work at like a dog boarding thing. They didn't even respond to me. So whatever. I even interviewed to actually like be a salesperson at a gym that I now go to. And I, of course, applied to even, some dairy and ag jobs, and just things were just not panning out for me. And I was in a really shitty headspace about it, honestly, because I did everything right, quote unquote. I mean, great grades, all the internships, a lot of positions in school, a lot of activities, and things were just not panning out. And at this point as well, I started weightlifting in college. Maybe it wasn't done that correctly, but then I also started to lean more into it post college, going to the gym during work and just understanding like this is fun, and understanding more about my nutrition, which still wasn't much of the time, but more interest was falling into that. And that's when that spring, when I was job searching, I started Dairy Girl Fitness. And it just came from the idea of, okay, I'm a dairy girl. I like fitness. This kind of makes sense for me. And it was more so my outlet to share my passions, to feel like I was making an impact in the dairy industry in the way that I wanted. And really just feel like I could contribute in some capacity and just not totally feel like everything was out of control, right? So it was just an Instagram page I started as a passion project and really was able to grow from there and to show people, hey, dairy's great. You can enjoy it. It's healthy. And I was kind of trying to walk the walk of sharing my own fitness journey to show that you can, look, I'm doing it. You can be healthy and enjoy these things. And that's really what it started out as. And of course, it has transitioned and changed and evolved from there.
Well, I think a great reflection of the brand that you've created is its name and its logo. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you've created all of the other assets that help portray that message. So, but you kind of made the name and the logo before it was a business. So I guess, how did you decide on the name and the logo?
Yeah. So Dairy Girl Fitness, I think it's so easy to look at brands and to look at a business or a person that has a brand and maybe see them doing well or seeing them years in the making. It's like, there was so much behind the scenes before we got to being able to make it a business. So again, Dairy Girl Fitness, the Instagram page started in March of 2018, but even I feel like towards the end of 2017, beginning of 2018 is when the idea just started to churn. And I don't even really know when the name exactly popped up for me. But again, with being a dairy girl and with being a fitness, Dairy Girl Fitness just kind of popped to my mind and rolled off the tongue. I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, I like this, Dairy Girl Fitness. And yeah, I actually remember one of my first pictures that I think I posted on Dairy Girl Fitness was at the gym. I took that picture on my lunch break from my bank job. So that's where the name had come from.
That's and what you should make the photo on our Instagram.
Oh, my OG photo?
The OG photo. That would be funny.
I remember which one it is. I had a Penn State shirt on, actually.
I think I remember that photo too, actually.
And then for the logo, Sarah Davis, our friend Sarah Davis, is the queen of logos and just bringing an idea to life. And I don't even know if I gave her specifics. I was like, this is the name. Can you make a logo?
Yeah, like
And
this is the name. This is what I do. Can you represent it in a logo? Yeah.
And I've used it since. So I think it was 2018 when she made the first logo, probably as well. And a lot of people may not realize it when they look at it, but it's a cow head. And you're like, oh, cool. But the spot in the middle, it's a dumbbell.
Mm-hmm.
So it is just so clever. And I feel like it ties together well, Dairy Girl Fitness. And we have blue tied into it because I love blue. You may see that if you go on my social. I just like a lot of blue hues and such. So that's where the name and the logo came from. And I've just continued to use them since. I mean, with the logo, I'll maybe use different parts of it for maybe different types of apparel or whatnot. But my Circle Dairy Girl Fitness logo, I feel like, is what you may see a lot of.
Yeah. And you may not have created that name and logo when you were starting this, because you weren't starting this to start a company.
Yeah.
But I think the lesson is that it really can be that simple. I mean, you can really overcomplicate this fast, but
yeah.
Okay, your name, what do you do? Do you want people to recognize who you are and what you're about right away when they see you, when they hear you? Dairy Girl. Okay, obviously she must have something to do with cows. And then fitness. Okay, that's obvious in itself, but it's clever, it's cute, it's quick, and it's also obvious what you do. I think beyond the recognition that you get from your name and your logo, another sign that you're so successful is how people leave the feeling that they leave with whenever they interact with your brand, or any brand in general, like how we feel when we interact with our Nespressos.
Yeah, man, this is my lifeline.
Yeah, and it keeps us coming back, right? Because that interaction we have with them is so successful. So I guess, Emmy, what is that for DGF? What feeling do you want them to walk away with? What experience do you want them to have whenever they interact with DGF?
So I was just looking. I pulled up my Dairy Girl Fitness mission and my values because, as I've grown in business, and thanks for calling it successful, because sometimes I think, well, what the heck am I doing? So I just pulled that up for fun, and I maybe I'll read that. But it has been fun to see how it has evolved from where I started to now. And I really still try to, stick to my roots, as they say. But when you change from it just strictly being a fun little hobby passion project to, hey, I'm not trying to make a business and a living off of this, it can be easy to sway. And when I'm in a weird spot or I'm feeling frustrated, I do try to come back to, what do I want people to take away from this, right? What does my audience need? And so when I first started, I kind of had 3 pillars. I still remember this. I would try to post about, okay, I'm maybe going to post a workout. I'm going to post a recipe or something nutrition-wise this week. And I'm going to post something about ag and dairy. So that's kind of where it started. And even now, I feel like
you're pretty consistent.
I feel like I definitely lean more into the fitness and nutrition side of things. And of course, I talk about our coaching and transformations, but I really still try to stick to these things. And so with the Dairy Girl Fitness mission, to make this, super professional, our mission is to help women transform their health and confidence while still living their lives to the fullest. We empower women to prioritize themselves in a sustainable and fun way while getting incredible results. Dairy Girl Fitness is also committed to sharing the truth about animal agriculture so more women can make informed decisions when it comes to nutrition. So I feel like that kind of can guide ultimately what I really want Dairy Girl Fitness to accomplish. And then when I think of the feeling of when women come to Dairy Girl Fitness, or when they see my content, or even as a client, or, maybe I'm speaking, whatever it may be, some of our values, which I feel like this ties exactly into how I want people to interact with us and have how they feel, be education, empowerment, health, balance, strength, confidence, honesty, hard work, and fun. So I know that's a lot of words. I don't know if you're supposed to have that many values, but
I don't know.
I'm not.
Brand police sound off in the comments.
So honestly, though, I just want women to feel more empowered when they see my content. I want them to feel more confident that they are capable of taking care of their health, that they're capable of achieving their goals. And I want them to realize, this can be fun. I mean, you and I both know we prioritize our health, but we like to have fun. We've always than people that were foodies. We like to travel. We like to, you know, go out for drinks, but that doesn't mean we're just going to throw our health to the wayside. And then when it comes to agriculture, yeah, I just want people to feel, and more so, I gear towards women. So of course with Dairy Girl Fitness, that's kind of obvious, but most of our audience, all of our clients are women. And I just, yeah, want them to feel like they're also deserving to make themselves a priority when they walk away from a lot of my content. Like, you know what? You're right. Like, I deserve to feel good in my body. This is crap. Why am I following this stupid restrictive diet when I could be having fun?
Yeah. I think, after people watch your content, I know they might feel words that came into my head while you were sharing them to add more to your list was, I think people leave just happy. No matter what you're talking about, you know, it's very, you're never putting out sad content. You might put out reflective or awareness, like the Helene content, but that I don't consider that sad. I consider that, you know, honest and just real and sharing something that's grave. But I think you make people are happy. And then I think people feel leaving inspired. And those
I like that one.
Who, and whether it's someone, if you have your ag followers, they may not know as much about the fitness, or if you have fitness followers, they may not know as much about the dairy, but they leave feeling curious and sometimes even potentially challenged. So I think that you have really created a brand in a way that you have the trust from your followers to be able to make them feel curious and challenged. So
thank you.
Yeah, don't get used to compliments like that. But
that has been a fun part though. When I first started, I was almost so naive of thinking, like, why would people in dairy or ag like want to work with fitness, right? And that's so silly. Everyone cares about their health, but I thought, am I putting myself into a box here with this? But ultimately, that's what's been able to distinguish the brand. And it's all evolved. Honestly, it was easier at the beginning than what it is now, just because the social media landscape always changes. But that has been a very cool side of it. And sometimes I feel a little bit out of place, which is totally normal. But being able to connect people from both sides.
That means you have a niche product.
Yeah.
Right? When people try to be everything to everything, unless you're Walmart and Amazon, like, you can't be that. You really can't. And I think, you know, to go off of the social media landscape, I feel like people love to look at influencers, which is, I think, what a lot of people categorize you as. It's not what I categorize you as.
It's easy. Yeah, that's like the easy umbrella.
Like this health and fitness source, or actually, you know what? You're a couple of different things, but like it works. You're your own unique category. But a lot of people think that all you do is social media content. And they might be wondering, how does this girl make any money? So you do a lot of other things to monetize your business, social media and beyond. So what are some of those ways that people may see or may not see that brings in the monies?
Yeah, it's a very valid question. It's a very valid thought and question, because when I first started, I thought, how the fuck are these people making money? Like, what do they do all day?
I still think that, but then I think of you and other influencers I've worked with. I'm like, no, there's a lot we don't know. And it can be pretty lucrative.
But, it's completely valid, though. It is such even I've been in this, over 6 years now. Running it as a business is 5. And even still, it's still like, oh my gosh, what's going on over here? But yeah, at the get-go, I really had no clue. And that was even before TikTok was around. So I feel like now that makes it even more possible, or everyone's jumping into it. But when I first started, again, it was more so just a hobby. I don't even know if at the beginning, I thought, when I started, I don't know if I really knew or realized it could turn into something where I could make money off of. I think as it continued to grow, I realized, I could monetize this. I could figure out ways to, make money with this. And so when I would introduce myself, I'd be like, hey, I'm the founder, owner of Dairy Girl Fitness. I'm an online health and fitness coach, or I own an online health and fitness coaching company. So more than just being an influencer or content creator, which nothing wrong with that, but that's not really where I make most of my money. So I think when people see social media or businesses posting on social media, it's like, oh yeah, how are they, like, what are they doing to make money with social media?
Yeah.
That's where I'm getting my clients from.
Yeah, I
That's
was
where
gonna say it clicked. You are an online
Mhm.
health and fitness company, and I want to make sure like people hear that. That's what you classify as.
Yeah.
But social media is your main marketing tool. It's where your
Yes.
community lives, and you've
Yep.
honestly figured out a way to monetize your community.
Yeah. And I think that's where I maybe realized I could do something with Dairy Girl Fitness to turn it into an actual business where I can make a living off of. Is, I mean, it is such an incredible community. And when it first started, again, I started this over 6 years ago. And even then, it was a smaller amount of people on here. So even then, it was very interactive. I mean, everyone was just participating and, interacting with content very often. And so I think maybe then I realized, like, this is a pretty awesome community. I should do something with this. So yes, for me specifically, with creating an online health and fitness coaching business. So basically, I'm doing online personal training. That is what I started and went full time with in the fall of 2019. Social media, though, is where I find the women that want to work with our company. So mostly on Instagram, maybe sometimes on Facebook, a few coming in from TikTok. But I post majority of my content to build our community, to eventually build our coaching, right? To hopefully have the right women find us that need our help and that would benefit from our help. So for main, sources of income and how we've grown as a business would be through the online coaching. So mainly through one-on-one coaching and then through group coaching and of course some challenges in between. So that's been the main driver. And then more so on, you could say, kind of the influencing side or the content creation side would be brand partnerships. So social media posts for different brands, whether that's food products, whether it's like actual companies promoting a service or just another brand. And then even speaking events, which I don't do a ton of that, which, maybe I could lean more into it, but every now and then maybe a speaking event. And I know that's where a lot of other content creators really lean into, especially in ag, becoming these speakers that are traveling very, very often. And then affiliate programs. So affiliated with different companies. So for me, like Bomar Nutrition is a supplement company. I used to be affiliated with a athletic clothing company, or like Vuray, gym bags, Hydro Jug. There's ways that you can make commission, get product. And for me, I would say those would be the main drivers. And, little things, whether it's I'm selling gym guides or apparel, those aren't those aren't huge money makers. It's just kind of fun to have people wear Dairy Girl Fitness apparel.
Well,
And
but I mean, they might not be driving a lot of revenue for you, but there's
mm-hmm,
something they're a good
it's marketing.
investment, yeah, for your brand because people are going to see it all the time. They're going to wear it all
Mm-hmm.
the time. They're going to use it all the time. So it's something that's in their hands that will hopefully drive them to spend more money or become a loyal, consistent customer of DGF.
Yeah. So that part, again, social media was honestly so much easier when I first started. And when I first started my business, it truly was just so much easier because I started right before COVID, going full time. So unintentionally, the perfect time to start. And everyone interacted, right? People were just maybe more willing to buy. And again, understandably now, the landscape has changed.
Yeah.
People's financial states have changed. It's very different. And so watching that evolve has also been interesting. And honestly, it is very challenging. But for actually making money just off of social media, I don't make shit really off of, what like Instagram would pay
Yeah.
me or what TikTok would pay me. I know YouTube is the really big driving factor of where people can make money just off of being a YouTuber, right? I mean,
Yeah.
YouTube,
Like
I think,
from the
pays creators
channel,
very,
the
yes.
company itself. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they would pay their creators very well based, if you meet certain criteria. And I think TikTok and maybe Instagram as well. Like, but for TikTok and even Instagram, probably you have to have pretty big following, like a lot of views very consistently to make any, really legitimate money off of it. That would be like, I can make a full time salary off this. I think TikTok paid me like $15 last
Yeah.
month. Woo! And that's pretty average
It's
for what I
like
would make between
one
that and
pumpkin
Instagram.
spice latte these days.
Yeah. So for me, that's not where I'm bringing in the big bucks.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just an avenue and a channel to bring in other opportunities. So, like today, I'm going to be posting a collaboration with my fitness pal on TikTok, and that's a partnership and a video I'm getting paid to post. So, it is very cool the opportunities it's led me to, or the brands that I get to work with.
Yeah. And that's what, there are so many things that have contributed to the changing social media landscape.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be real, the past couple of elections have, because people
Yep.
don't trust social media as much anymore.
Yeah.
But then, another thing is, even as a corporate company, we look at social media as like social media influencers, and social media is the new media
Yeah.
over the news or source or
Mm-hmm.
newspapers, the sources like that. Like, people are going to social media to see what people are saying about
Yeah.
anything,
Literally, like I searched
literally anything.
a recipe even. I wanted to look up, which I made this morning, but while you were sleeping still, I
Oops.
wanted to make a pumpkin pie ninja creamy. And so instead of
Mm,
going to Google, I searched TikTok for it.
yeah. Well, and so you, as you said, you do a lot of your marketing on social
Mm-hmm.
media, and it is a landscape that's only going to keep changing and keep evolving
Mm-hmm.
at a wild pace.
Mm-hmm.
So, how have you kept up the motivation to keep making content, and maybe even beyond content or through
Mm-hmm.
content? What are some of the new things that you've been trying lately?
Ooh, yeah. So sometimes when I'm in one of my moods, because when it's your own brand and everything is based off of you, like, oh, people are buying or not buying from me, right? I mean, it's hard to not sometimes just get caught in a kind of crappy mindset and be like, screw social media. Sometimes I do wonder, like, what would everything be like if there wasn't social media, if we didn't have this pressure of social media? But then also, it's led to so many insane opportunities. So sometimes it's easy to get caught in a headspace, but so I do appreciate you like hyping me up through this. But then I also have to think of, I've been making a lot of content for a long time. That's a pretty cool feat in itself, to always be able to recycle things and reuse things. And that's a lot of what I do. I mean, since I have been making content for so long, I'm I feel like a lot of times to myself, I'm like, I'm just repeating the same thing. But to someone who's newer to my page, or someone who is not just diehard about my content all the time, right? Like, you're not going to see all my content all the
Yeah.
time. It's still a lot of information that may seem new to them. So I have to remind myself that I'm like, it's normal and okay to keep talking about the
Yeah.
same things, and just reusing and like recycling a lot of my content in different ways. And something that I think has worked for me is tying into kind of like, and this is probably what a lot of people do, but my own personal experience. So, what did I need to hear at the beginning of my journey? Or what is my experience with agriculture? Tying into maybe trends or
Mm-hmm.
misconceptions that I'm seeing on social media. And also in terms of, even more so when I'm talking about coaching or to women that we would love to work with, I use examples from clients or inspiration from client conversations, from DM conversations. And so I don't know. It's not like I wouldn't necessarily call it a talent, but I can see something and like turn that thought into a piece of content. And one of our coaches, Coach Autumn, this was honestly like one of the best compliments. Maybe it sounds shallow, but one time she called me like the Kris Jenner of content creation. And I thought, oh
Oh,
my God, thank you. So that was
as
so
long as
funny.
it's
But
like the Kris Jenner of social content creation with a soul.
yes, yeah, just how like she can turn anything into something.
Yeah.
I feel like I've just been able to continuously learn and maybe evolve, and what type of content do I want to create. And I would say that my page, when I first started, it blew up and grew a lot faster than what it is now. Now it's a very slow and steady pace, but we're still doing it. So maybe I'm not the type of page now that grows at a rapid pace, but also my page isn't necessarily meant to just be like an influencing page that can
Yeah.
blow up, because I do still want to post like content for coaching or educational content, and you can still grow. But there is sometimes a difference between growth content and like selling content or nurturing content. So sometimes I have
Yeah.
to kind of find that that balance of not getting so caught in my head and really recognizing what's the goal of my page. So I've, within the past year or so, that's something I've been thinking about with social media, of trying to find that balance of making sure I'm still enjoying the type of content I'm making, the type of content I'm putting out, but that it's still providing value to my audience. So when I first started, again, I posted a lot of recipes. I feel like in the past year or so, I was still maybe posting one or so a week, but I just wasn't posting as much. And so I've gone back into more of that recently, and just always sometimes playing around with editing styles, the type of music you use, the type of hooks that you use to try to
Mm-hmm.
grab attention. So I'm not doing anything life changing or altering anything super big in terms of how I'm making content, but it's crazy just how editing a video in a slightly different way can grab someone's attention so much differently. And let's be honest, sometimes you may just get really lucky with the algorithm and you may have something blow up. But for example, on TikTok, I've been posting recipes for quite a while, and that's what blew up my page. Like I've over 260,000 followers on TikTok, and that's where I can have a little more fun, just post kind of value driven or like growth type of content. But I posted that recipe about the cornbread skillet last year. It did okay. I edited it a little bit different into some of the styles I've seen that are more popular now with recipes. And now it's kind of blowing up this weekend, and it's
Yeah.
gaining a lot more traction. And so it can sometimes be frustrating, but then it can also be exciting to know that you can change things and
Yeah.
see how it works and use that.
Yeah. So I have two thoughts that are like beating out of my, like, I'm like holding back because I'm like, oh my God,
Sorry.
wait. No, this is good because you kept feeling like, yes, my thought is right. Yes, my thought is right. But the first one is something I learned at this conference that's related to this, is that people get so hung up on followers related to like building their brand on social media, whether your brand be a product or your brand is you as an influencer.
Yeah.
And what I can tell you is what's been trending and what is continuing to trend, and what a lot of these marketing agencies that work with influencers for brands are, who are really a lot of the drivers of how you make money off of brand content, is that honestly in this climate, people aren't willing to spend money on influencers unless it's an influencer that can drive action.
Yeah.
It's, impressions and reach is great, but I don't want to pay $50,000 for 1 million views just because people saw my product.
Yeah.
It's like, is it an influencer that people just like to watch, but they don't convince them to take action? Or is it more of this mid-level influencer who has a community that's more engaged? What is the
Yes.
quality of engagement? What are the type of comments they're having? What are the number of shares? And so I think there's a space for everybody. It's not all
Yeah.
about the numbers and the followers anymore. It's about
True.
what kind of, are you meeting the goal I have for this brand, right? If it's a new product, maybe it is just a lot of eyes seeing it. But if it's now at the stage of, I got to start investing in influencers who help me drive actual conversions and purchases of my product, which you can't immediately measure, but you can tell based on the quality of their audience, which I think you have a super high quality audience, and you drive people to take action, which I think is a great example of someone who doesn't have 1 million followers,
Yeah.
but is still a benefit to brands. And then the other thought I had was, influencers get stuck in this, companies get stuck in this, and I think it is the biggest mistake you make, is just because you get bored of your content, you're not your target audience.
Yeah.
Like, you're making it every day, so people will flip through these campaigns like, and barely give these ideas time to like sink in and resonate and work, because you're bored, or
Yeah.
you feel like, oh, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. Well, yeah, people followed you for a reason, right? They're
Yeah.
not seeing your content from 9 to 5 every single day, you
Yep.
know? So I think that is something to remember, is that people followed you for those 3 pillars, right? And staying true to those things does not make you stagnant or stale. Like, I think the
Yeah.
way you stay true to yourself, but then follow the social algorithm or follow trends and still incorporate your main pillars of content and focus, it's just like, remind yourself, I am not my target audience. Just because I am bored does not mean my audience is.
Ooh, yeah. That's a good one because
Yeah.
the thing with social media, and it's probably like this in regular marketing too. I mean, there's just so many competitors, right? There's so many different things that you're competing with or trying to navigate. With social media, it can be so easy to think, oh, that person went viral. They're growing their page, or it looks like they have a million clients. When in reality, you actually don't know anything about the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But it can be so easy to sway yourself. And there is room to always improve, right? I mean, you can improve your content strategy or the way that you're proposing it or the way that you are interacting with your audience. But that doesn't mean your key messages, like you said, Becca, need to constantly change or what you're trying to achieve. So
Yeah.
it's a good reminder for myself to stay in my own lane. Like, know that
Yeah.
I can improve
Yeah.
and that I can change and tweak things. But I'm, like you said earlier, I'm not trying to be everything to everyone, which can be really hard to remember
Yeah.
with social media.
Yeah. And I mean, the old golden rule is someone needs to see an ad 7 times before they even
Yeah.
consider taking action.
Yep.
So you've got to make a lot of the same content to produce the same result. So when you're getting
Yeah.
bored, that means it's still working.
Yeah.
But I think the way I want to wrap up this interview is, what piece of advice do you have for people who either want to build a brand or nurture a brand and then build a business around them and monetize it?
Yes, this is a solid one. And again, there's so much advice out there. There's so many different ways you can go with everything. So with whatever I say, maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't. And this is really speaking from my own experience. Because unlike Becca, I've only really built my own brand. I've not been in the world of like corporate brand building or building a brand for someone else or another business. So for me, I think to stick this out for the long haul, because building any sort of business is really hard. Building a brand is really hard. It's very easy to get in your own head, to think you're not good enough, whatever it may be. So ultimately, you have to build a brand that you care about and that you are passionate about in some capacity. I'm not saying you have to be diehard about it, but you have to believe what you are doing. You have to really believe that what your brand is trying to achieve is worth it. Because when things do suck, or when the algorithm doesn't go your way, or when people don't want to buy your product, you have to believe so much in it that you're like, no matter what, I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna keep showing up. I'm gonna allow myself to pivot because I enjoy what I'm doing, and I believe in the mission or what this product provides. And so I would say that would be number one. And even if you're working for someone else, trying to help build a brand in collaboration with someone else, you still, like, I know you have bills to pay, so not every job is going to line up perfectly, but even then you still have to believe in what you're building, because otherwise it's like, what is the point of this? Like, I literally don't give a shit. So
Like, why would
that's number one.
Why would a vegan work for a milk company?
Yeah, like, it's just
To
not
sabotage
self-sabotage. Yeah,
Like,
literally.
yeah, I think that's such a good piece of advice, is that whether you're in the business of building the brand or you're in a business that supports a brand,
Yeah.
there's no point in working for them if you don't believe in the product or if you don't believe in the brand.
So
That's like probably golden rule number one. If you don't believe in it, it's not going to be successful.
yeah, and I feel like that maybe it, like, for someone who is in the brand world, it may sound obvious, but it's so easy for us to get caught in our own heads, get caught in all the naysayers and whatnot. But ultimately, I think that's how you can build a community and build a brand around that, because people can see that. Whether
Yeah.
you think it or not, people can see when you're being authentic. People can see when you're being excited. And I think as well, it helps to show who you are. I know there are a lot of different accounts out there, a lot of different brands that grow in different ways. So like recipe videos, I would say, you're not seeing that person every single time, but even still, they're talking over it. They share more parts about themselves in their stories or on their website. And people buy from the person then,
Yeah.
to support that brand. I mean, if I could love a product, but then if I see the person promoting, I'm like, you suck. I don't want to buy this product anymore, right? I think ultimately people are buying from the person. So I think you have to be authentic to be able to connect with your audience, to make them care. And what's the saying? was it one of the presidents or someone said like, no one
cares what you think until they know you care.
Until they know how much you care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's legit, yeah. I think. And maybe we'll like Google that.
Like, oh God.
When we're, wait, yeah. Okay, I won't Google it right now. But yeah, it's just about, again, people want to know that you're being authentic. People want to know that you care, where that's coming from. People kind of want a story behind it, right? It is really more than anything. It's a lot of storytelling.
Yeah.
And people just want to be able to connect with that. And just, you will find your people. And maybe that looks different than what you thought. Maybe it grows bigger. Maybe it stays smaller. But like Becca said earlier, it doesn't always matter the size of the community. Yes, that can impact things in a positive way, but nurture the community that you currently do have as well, that you don't forget about them while you're trying to grow. They get so caught up in numbers that you forget about the current people that are there, that are already supporting your products, your brand, your service.
Yeah, I love that. And the way that I thought would be a fun way to end this episode is that after talking about all these great things and all these unique things that make up Dairy Girl Fitness, is what are some, I guess, our weekly obsession. Ooh, I've never transitioned into this part. Or maybe I have. No, I probably have. Anyways, our weekly obsession is, what are some brands that we love and why? So I know, for example, a person that I love, let's just go with my, like, Old Faithful, Kale Couture, or now she's Aubrey Showing Case or Shoeing Case. She has such a strong brand that I unfollowed her.
Yeah, because you were influenced way too much.
But I am like, you know what? Someday, whenever, I'll probably follow her again. I should. I'm being ridiculous.
When I have more self-control.
Yeah, when I have more self-control. But she's built a brand that she realized, I think she probably started it out just for fun, kind of like you, then realized she was monetizing off of herself and her personality. She evolved her brand to her name. So that's one example of a person I love. And then let's say, like, a thing that I loved is, Quince, the Quince clothing brand. They have done such a good job at this, like, trend of quiet elegance and bringing luxury to you for less. So I think they've done an amazing job of building a consistent look and feel. And their tactic is comparing themselves to brands that they know millennials shop at, like Reformation, Tuckernuck, Aritzia, all these expensive brands.
Abercrombie?
Yeah. Well, I think Abercrombie's probably in their same price range. But they, and then they've slowly, once they get you hooked, they keep adding new sections. And they keep targeting you. They're very good at targeting you with new products. So I think that Quince has done a brilliant job of building a brand that is the same luxury for less. So anyways, those are two examples of
luxury for less.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it's legit. It's not like a Shein or a Shein or however you say it. Yeah. That's like same look, but it's made by a child slave working in a cave.
Literally.
For $3, right? So it's the same quality for less. Anyways, so those are two brands that I love for those reasons. What about you?
I like that. And yes, she does talk about Quince a lot. That's not just her.
No, I
making that up now. She talks about it all the time.
I do.
Yeah, so I feel like this one's so hard to narrow down because with the world of social media, anyone can have a brand. And I actually just saw a video, and it's from this kid. He's only about 22, but he started a channel and it's grown to millions of followers, where he goes around interviewing entrepreneurs who are typically always millionaires. And he recently just interviewed one about building a brand. And I think she had a clothing brand. She's made millions, but she just talked about, this is the first time kind of in history that brands with millions of dollars, big corporate brands, and a little itty bitty brand that's maybe starting on TikTok are on the same playing field. And like, it is different, right? If you have millions of dollars, of course you have a different avenue where you can spend that. But social media can blow up a brand in such a different way that she was like, there's no excuse to not start it. So I thought that was a really interesting take, and just a a good thing for us all to remember, because the cool thing with social media is that, again, so much of it is based on community. So, growing up, I think we loved Nike, and I still love Nike. I still have a ton of Nike shoes, but I really don't buy Nike leggings or Nike bras anymore. Maybe like crew necks and stuff, but I'm just like, it's cool. But there's so many other cool social media athleisure brands. So it's just cool to see the little guys have a little bit more of a chance and growing in their own way, because they're creating different campaigns that we can relate to. You get to know the owners behind it. You feel like you're getting to support a smaller company. So I think it's very cool in the athleisure side, because that's what I'm in most of the time, to have really seen that shift of these bigger brands not recognizing, oh, we got to kind of connect to these people in a more realistic human way. And even one of my favorite brands for athleisure, which I was an affiliate with them a couple years ago, and I'm not anymore, but I still love their products. It's Vitality. So it used to be Balance Athletica, and then the big brand New Balance, I think, tried to like sue them for their name. So screw the big guys. But so they shifted to Vitality. But even then, I love that brand. It's extremely high quality clothing. It's always so cute. It holds up forever. I've had my pieces for legit years. But again, they're more these Instagram brands, and it's more than just that, but where they started, they're more innovative because they have to be, right? They have to find ways to outshine the big guys. And so I love their products in that kind of way. And I would say even just a random one as well would be the whole that like Chobani Creamer has on me. I don't know what they've done with their brand, but when I think of creamer, I'm like, Chobani's just, it's the top tier coffee creamer compared to other ones. So that's like a random little brand that I think of. Not random little brand. Chobani's huge.
they align with you. They're dairy and they have a lot of fun flavors, which other dairy brands haven't done as much of. Where, at least in our geographical locations, that gives you, like, it speaks to you. So you are their target audience.
Yes, they got me. And there's so many routes to go with this. Like, I could think of a million brands and people that I love, but we would be here all day. But I do think it's cool to see also brands rebrand to make a comeback. So an example of that would be, and these guys are big, but Abercrombie, back in the day, we never shopped there. There wasn't one near us. And it always felt just like more expensive. It felt like they were always trying to model to, or advertise towards people with model bodies, like size 00. And then I feel like it just kind of fell off because everyone got tired of their shit. Like, fuck you guys. We're not gonna buy your stuff anymore. And then in the past couple years, like, I love Abercrombie. It's probably half my closet. And just, it's also cool to see people rebrand and get with the times a little bit more. So that's been a interesting one to see. And I know there's other companies that do it, but I know they're a big one. This shirt, my Georgia shirt. Wait, this is from Hollister, actually, which I think is in the family of Abercrombie.
Yeah. And they're probably on their way to copying and pasting what Abercrombie has done.
It literally had an Abercrombie tag in it.
Yeah.
Like, on
I'm pretty
the tag
sure they're the same company.
Yeah, the same but different. This is like for the kids and me.
Well, Emmy, I love this. I hope people feel like they got something out of this conversation that they've never learned about Dairy Girl fitness before. And, I think another topic someday could be personal brand, because that's completely and totally different. I think brand is such a big word and we've only started to dive into it. And speaking of which, my personal brand now involves tennis, which I must.
You gotta get going.
I must get to.
She must leave.
I must leave us. So, but
I'll let you go.
I feel like we've barely scratched the surface of this conversation with you, and I think we could do even like a deep dive series into the brand of DGF.
Yeah. So it's definitely providing some topics, and I'll let you go play tennis so you can keep up your tennis brand girly. But before we go,
this is in the beginning stages.
The beginning stages. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah.
Yep.
Boom.
Yeah. So that's a great send off for how to build a brand, how to build a community that you interact with and care about and really want to be a part of. So yeah, if you want to be a part of our community elsewhere, we're on all social medias at Cowgirl Talk. If you want to continue following along with the show, we recommend you follow along and subscribe. Leave reviews if you would so kindly do. We always appreciate any sort of feedback. It brings us much enjoyment. And yeah, thanks for tuning in and letting me yap all morning about me building a Dairy Girl fitness brand.
We love it, Em. And as always,
Thanks.
have a great day, cowgirls. Bye.
Bye.